Well, hi.
Well,
My name,
hello.
hi. Well, you know me, but
Yes.
my name is Jillian Walker, and I'm a volunteer with Women for Change. And I'm also incredibly lucky to be on the board for Early Learning Alliance Network. And our executive director has graciously given her time to answer a few questions for all of you. So I'm excited. So let me first introduce Jody. Jody is an educator, first and foremost. She is internationally recognized advocate for children. She is a mom and founder of the Early Learning Alliance Network. Jody, thanks so much.
Thanks for being here, Miss Jillian.
So let's get to what we're talking about. We're basically talking about the 5 things that women need to know about learning during COVID. So when we say learning, we mean children in school. Specifically, early education is where we're going to kind of dive into. So let's start with number 1. So a lot of questions have come into you at Elon, and we're kind of picking those, the top, the ones that have risen to the top. So the most asked. So let's dive in. So 1, how do I deal with questions we have about safety when my child is at school? And I love this question because I was talking to a mom that said, I know he's safe, but I want to see that he's safe and I can't. So how would you answer that?
Yeah, I've been so excited about some of the examples we're seeing around Indiana and even elsewhere, in that principals are really taking the opportunity to not just say it, but share it. So they're doing videos of how the kids are going to walk through the lunchroom. They're doing videos of how the playground's going to look. And just that over communication and real transparency has been incredible to see from our K through 12 partners. Things that, mom to mom, I would want people to look at is the district COVID plan. Look at it. A lot of people are so over it, you know, so over it. But we still have to educate ourselves. So,
Right.
make sure to look at that. Principals are always more than willing to ask questions, especially proactive questions, right? Like we don't want to have those questions hit us when it's too late. So, how can you communicate directly to your principal? Email or call. Sometimes it's a lot easier to email. Sometimes
Mhm.
districts have chat bots with the principals that enable you to talk back and forth with them electronically if you're at work on a call. But calling them and really being specific about your safety measures. Um, ask questions about the playground, ask questions about the cafeteria. Be sure to ask about mitigation and masks and distancing. We're having a lot of parents right now come back and say, well, I was okay with it, but then I realized that there's 25 kids in a room and they've not taken anything out. And how do I know if they're okay? And, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We don't
Right.
know, so for every mom, we have this like constant pit of, wonder in our
Always.
guilt and wonder and a little bit of apprehension, but really ask for clarification on those plans and ask your district leaders and your principals if they're reporting their COVID data to the state. Um, we have a lot of districts that are not participating in that. They have reasons behind that. We want to make sure to elevate those reasons um, to be very open and transparent,
That's good to know.
um,
I'm making a
but
note of that. I don't
but
know. I ask my principal if they report. So
yeah.
that's really great to know.
Yeah. But make the calls, and ask too about contact tracing. We're still having a lot of struggles. I mean, it's hard. This is hitting us hard right now, especially in the next couple of weeks. Um, Things might take a turn here. So, and thinking about that, asking about contact tracing, asking about how they're going to handle that. If parents don't ask, the more you, as an educational leader, the more you talk about those things openly, the more you double check yourself, so, and parents are a great audience to do that with. So make sure and keep it open.
I think that's really good. I think especially as a mom of one, and so he's my only, and kind of going through, that process, starting that journey. So we're in kindergarten now.
Yeah.
But as parents, sometimes we feel like we're bothering the teacher or the principal, and I've just been incredibly grateful with the openness. And well, full disclosure, I'm in an IPS school, the biggest district in the state. But I will have to say that my principal has never been bothered with all of my mom worry. So I think that's important for people to know. Don't be afraid to reach out. You're not bothering them. This is their job. That's really important. Okay, so second question.
Yes.
How diligent How diligent should we be right now?
We're still seeing a lot of folks, renegotiate the mask wearing for themselves. And even this morning, like, in talking to some of our preschool directors, and, we're up to about 400 child care professionals that we support with the Alliance. And, anytime one of them calls with this, you're just like, ugh, what now? Because they always talk to us about the communication piece and the health department about the health piece. But we're still having people drop their kids off without mask. Mom and dad or grandma and grandpa even, or nanny are, dropping off and picking up without masks. We're having a lot of folks, not stay home if they're testing positive. And, for us, we need to kind of come, as moms and as women, we need to kind of come up with our own plan, of what we're going to do. We don't want to hype up our kids and freak them out, and we want them to be as least affected by this as possible. That means that we do our due diligence because we don't want them to be affected,
Right.
So how can you, make sure that you always have your mask? Like, we were out the other day and I forgot my kid's mask, and I was like, well, guess what, buddy? We're not going to go in. Either that or I'm going to run in, buy you a mask, come out, and then we're going to get this taken care of. But, just be prepared, make sure that you're doing your due diligence, have that, I was joking with some girlfriends the other day of, it used to be you have, your keys in your wallet and your purse. Now it's your hand sanitizer, your Clorox wipes, and your masks, but do that. It's okay, and pile up, but also kind of make a plan with your family,
Right.
if a friend calls to come over, what questions are you going to ask? And it's totally okay. And for us, we live in a neighborhood there's kids all over the place, all over. And it's been really important for our family to share our plan and to say, like, okay, here's the deal. Like, we're still okay outside. Winter is not going to be a lot of fun. Not looking forward to that, but hopefully we'll be able to be out and, still messing around outside a little bit. But share that plan openly and don't feel bad about it.
Right.
There's almost this like undercurrent of, almost like mom bullying to an extent, like, oh, you don't let your kids, do
Yeah.
whatever feels right for your family.
Right.
And be super respectful as a female, looking at another woman, another leader, another person who's in the same shoes as you, in terms of taking care of their child. We just need to be respectful to one another.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And our tone and everything. And I think, and the other thing that I would say has worked very well for my mom community is we have a backup plan. If school gets closed, if childcare is closed, we have, 3 or 4 families that we're like, okay, we're just going to kind of plan to isolate a little bit together, support one another. So if I get stuck on calls and my kids are home, how can I share that load? This is a time that women have got to step up and support one another. And to do that safely means that you have to be thoughtful and plan it. But don't, I even had a mom the other day that I don't know that well stop me when we were out on a walk in our neighborhood and say, well, like, I just don't know anybody well enough. I'm like, girlfriend, don't worry about it. Like, you see your mom with a kindergartner that, like, have the conversation, be like, okay, here's where we're at. Is it, where are you guys at? It's kind of mom dating, like figuring out what they're about. And then, kind of coming to terms with, where are we and what do we need to do, and how can we help one another?
That full, that back to that saying of, it takes a village. I mean, it kind of stinks that we had to get to a pandemic to kind of get back to reminding ourselves that it takes a village, but that's so important. I actually am going to kind of shift your questions for a minute. I'm going to jump to number 4 and we'll come back to number 3 because I think that's a really good segue. I think, especially if you have your plan and what happens if school goes out. And this is a big question that's come to me quite a bit as well, but what is a pod and what do I need to look for if I go, if I want to, or if I can go that route?
Yes, yeah. So, and this has been so funny because it happened very quickly. Like COVID
Yeah,
hit, and then, almost immediately we saw people developing pods, and they were learning pods or homeschool pods
right.
or fun pods or whatever, where, you kind of go back to those, those families that you're isolated with, and how can you support one another? There's very specific things, though, that I think women need to know in order to advocate for their children and their families appropriately. One, you know that, um, there is an executive order in place as we speak today. I don't know how long that will be here, that allows families to kind of nanny share. You can have up to 10 kids in a home, have someone there to kind of be their oversight, as long as they're learning virtually or enrolled in a school. Okay. That goes all the way down to age 4 and all the way up to age 18. The important element with that executive order is that there is no oversight. That means that a family could have 10 kids in their home from 4 to 18. They don't have to have proof of insurance. They don't have to have first aid training. They don't even have to have a background check. And while I understand the importance of flexibility during a pandemic, I really want women and mamas, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. Like, you have got to advocate for your child. And if you are approached by a pod provider inside someone's home, even if it's a neighbor, you need to ask your questions. At the same time, you need to, you need to be cognizant that if it's outside of the home pod provider, they may have to follow licensing rules and restrictions and kind of guidelines from the state, because this all falls under the Office of out of school learning in early childhood, something like that.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of being really diligent and making sure that the first question, are you operating legally? Second question, how are you mitigating? And how much, contact is my kid going to have with anybody else?
Right.
Third question, are you insured, background checked, and trained?
Yeah.
You have got
100%.
to do diligence, but just know that there's some things there. A lot of stuff is happening that shouldn't be. It's kind of not legal right now. And people cannot start pods. I don't think they shouldn't anyway, be starting up pods without first making sure that they are free and clear. And
Yeah, I agree. Safety
Mhm.
first. It has to come with safety
Yep.
first. I understand, some of this comes with privilege and some of it, people just trying to make ends meet. I think at the end of the
Yes.
day, whatever you choose,
Mhm.
you have to advocate for your child. So it has to be
Yep.
safety first. I 100%
Yep.
agree. So let's go back up to the next question, which
Yeah.
again is a really great segue. So
Yeah.
speaking of support and safety,
Mhm.
how do I ensure consistent support for my child with disabilities during COVID? This is a very big question.
It is a very big question.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've been watching carefully through this entire situation has been the equity piece. And my God, some of the privilege that we've seen, people think they're helping, but
Right.
actually kind of their position of privilege is showing a little bit where they're not really troubleshooting their approach, especially for our kids with disabilities. We have structures in place, so we need to make sure they know about them. One, always lean on that teacher principal first, and know that there are times when, as a parent, you're interacting with a teacher, you're interacting with a principal, and you're like, gosh, I'm just not sure, or I don't think they know this one special little piece that
Yeah.
fits for my kid. And it's completely okay to go to that district leader. It's completely okay, once you've done your due diligence, to move up the chain of command. And again, this is about all of us working together. It is not a competition. It is not a threat. It is about parents advocating for their child to get the answers that they need. And everyone in the school system should be okay with that. That said, there's a few resources that I want to make sure parents know about. One is InSource. It's insource.org. That is the Indiana source for parent support and family support for working through issues with their kids with disabilities. That is their pandemic or not. They can provide mediation, they can provide support. I was a former special ed teacher. I always had advocates at the table, and I loved having them there because they were a good check for me. I don't know everything. no one at that table knows everything. So the more people you can get, the more power and knowledge that you have. When you're thinking about this time in particular, really make sure that that case conference, when you have the ability to talk to your child's teacher, a school administrator, any therapist, and the families around that table, really make sure that they're not decreasing the amount of hours for service right now. And that's huge because, and we work a lot with the Department of Education, let me say that. So all of this information comes directly from our state department. But, you know, make sure that you're thinking about the entire team. If you have an occupational therapist working with your kid, how can you make that happen? You know, it can be virtual, it can be face-to-face, but it could be a combination of either, you know, all kinds of things. People are being really creative right now, which I love to see, but you have to have a discussion about free and appropriate public education and least restrictive environment. You have to make sure that you're having those conversations. And if you hit a wall, and if you need help, and if you're thinking, okay, they're supposed to be, you know, in speech support for an hour a week, they're, you know, you have your list when you have a kiddo with special needs and you're not feeling, and you're just frustrated and you're tapped out. There's this wonderful site called iChamp, and it's ichamp.doe.in.gov. And that is kind of the go-to to get the mediation process started. That is your go-to if you're a parent and you're like, I'm just not getting what I need for my kid. And it's on this piece of paper and we all signed it and we all agreed upon it. Now what am I supposed to do? Right. Go to iChamp, get the process started. It is not adversarial at all, and it should never be taken that way. It is about a parent saying, okay, I'm raising my flag, I need some help, and I need other people around the table. So InSource and iChamp are the two things that I want to make sure all women know about when they're working with their kids.
Oh, that's such important information. So important. We're going to do the very last question. So I know top 5. So very last question. And this is something that's so important going into winter. Oh, and we're stuck inside more and we can't eat outside and all of those things. So, so the last question was, my kid needs some additional safe learning opportunities.
Yep.
Where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah, you know, man, we have about 300 informal activity providers that we work with. And I got to say, some of them are knocking it out of the park. They're wearing masks, they're cleaning, you know, they're, you know, at gymnastics, the kids go out in specific pods, they work through, there's a cleaning crew behind them.
Yeah.
They're being diligent. Look for that diligence right now, especially in these winter months when, you know, you got some flu, you got some cold, you got some COVID, everything's mixing in there. Make sure that you're looking for those people that are really being exemplar, above the bar in terms of the governor's expectations. Make sure that you're looking for distancing as well. And clean, more clean, more clean, more clean. Keep in mind that a lot of our local libraries have really expanded their opportunities in online and virtual support for our kids. Online, you know, book studies, book chats, author visits. Our library in Hamilton County has a wonderful Lego challenge that they're doing, and it's like a 1-minute introduction to a Lego build. And then, you know, so you like literally the other day I was in a, you know, kind of in that mom position where you're like 9,000 things to do. And I was like, hey, Lego challenge, 1 minute, really quick, works on my phone. You know, 20 minutes just is another person. I think a lot of times as parents, especially when we're going to be stuck inside and without our typical movies to go to and all these other things, you know, leverage those small moments of opportunity for redirection with our kids to just get them involved, you know. A few other things that we absolutely love. Facebook Live events have been awesome. If you have a smart TV, there's usually a Facebook Live option on there. And you don't even have to be logged into Facebook usually to see them, which is cool, right? And a lot of even our less expensive TVs have Facebook Live on there, but things that we love. Mo Williams, you know.
Loved during when we were in lockdown. Yes. Loved that.
Mo Williams, the children's author, is doing art and drawing, and those are archived up there. Silly Hearts Yoga, who is, you know, one of our favorite kids yoga providers in the state. The Cincinnati Zoo has done incredible live events for families, and then they actually have follow-up activities for you to do at home. So if they do like an elephant painting live event, then they'll have something that you can do at home to kind of mimic that experience up. Annie's Jams, they do kids concerts online. Totally perfect, like Friday night, Saturday night. Hi, we're all super tired. We've had a long week. We just need a little bit of fun. Annie's Jams has their Facebook page and their YouTube channel. Completely kid appropriate music. Annie's a hoot. She's a mom of young children. Always good to go. And then the other thing is providers like Outschool. And Outschool provides either online real time or online self-paced online learning opportunities for kids. And it's not like a academic, let's go learn math on Zoom.
Huge fan of Outschool.
Wonderful,
Yeah. And let me interrupt really fast. I will say for moms, they can be, Outschool is a real treasure. I think a lot of people don't know about, but it's not just the math and the science and things. My son is into Pokemon and I need an hour. And so I will find a live teacher that is teaching him about fungus and plants through Pokemon characters. It's brilliant. So there really is something for everyone if your kid is into anything. It's a real treasure. Well, and not that expensive.
And they're now offering scholarships. So for our families in need, it's outschool.com. Is that right, Jill? But they have a way of engaging kids in activities that are kid appropriate, but then weaving in content. So even like for our son, he did one on Roblox video game, right? And through that, and it's live with other kids from all over. It can even be across the pond, And so they're all just talking about Roblox, and she's like, hey guys, how do you keep yourself safe in there? And so she was able to weave in all these digital literacy lessons into this very natural, organic kid conversation. And it was absolutely beautiful to watch. We did a sailboat one. Our son loves sailing. Through the entire experience, they were doing math. She's like, okay, I got to put the boom up. How do I do it? I need your help. I don't have my calculator with me. My hands are, those kind of, it's just, can't say enough, but I am very excited that they have addressed the equity issue and are offering scholarships. But keep an eye, there's others like Outschool out there. I don't have a ton of experience with those, so I don't want to give them my thumbs up, but I will more than readily give a thumbs up to Outschool.
So good. I love that you gave the shout out to local libraries. I think that is something that people forget. I just think that the library is a complete treasure. I want to give it a shout out. We have found a local organization, Line and Form Art Studio. They have very small class sizes. They have to wear masks. They are incredibly clean. I think, finding those centers around you that are doing a really good job. And those are local businesses, also supporting, for that one specifically, that's a local mom, running that show. So it's always exciting to do that. Do you have anything else? I know we did the top 5. Now that we've kind of run through those, is there anything that you think of that you want to touch on before I let you off the hook and we're done?
I think for me, it's just, this is a time we don't know the answers. Right. And everyone is so quick to say, you got to give yourself grace, but legitimately you have to give yourself some grace. Should they be on their iPad all day? No. Is it going to happen every once in a while because it's just that situation? Yes. And it's totally okay. Their brain's not going to melt from a day on their iPad. Don't make it all the time, but it's hard, and we're all going through this, lean on your people. If you don't have people, find them, because they're there. And I guarantee that somebody that doesn't have their people, that's going to need you, but it's hard, but this is not a time for us to sit back and be like, hey, I'm going to fight about if my kid's in school or not. I need every woman and mom to recenter their focus on supporting their child and asking the good questions. You know, this data is hard to interpret. I gotta tell you, I met with superintendents from all over the country this last Tuesday night, and they are all struggling because what they're doing is unpopular, but they're doing what they feel is best for the safety of our kids. And we need to trust their expertise and value that and advocate for our child in whatever way we can. You know, this is a hard time. So, you know, put on your mama hat, get it done. But, you know, reach out. We're always, we're at Elon for Kids on Twitter and Instagram and the Early Learning Alliance Network on Facebook. And we also, Jillian, we have a couple of parent Facebook groups that are designed just to keep parents moving through this crazy time. So things you can do with your kid, like with your recycle bin. So, you know, but so if people want to, you know, check those things out, and our team is always willing to help. So if people have questions or just need, we don't provide direct services, but we kind of work as the hub to get them there. So
Jody, thanks so much. It's so good. All of that information is so important, and I think it's going to be invaluable for moms and good. People connected with Women for Change. So thank you so much.
Right. You're welcome. Thanks, Jillian.
You're welcome. Bye.